I'm unmuted. Hey. So where was I? Just some work that we were just looking at. Yeah, I really like some things about this one still. Applying like the realistic light, um, semi-realistic, I guess. But the actual textural quality is still, it feels like I guess a bit like vinyl. That's something that I was trying to emulate, I suppose. Um, and yeah, I think I was looking at a bit of Sergio Toppi for these designs, um, slightly, but the influence isn't super strong there. Cool. Hopefully everyone's back from the break. Uh, and yeah, I like all that time as well, like environments just weren't a big focus. Oh, sorry, my weird. Sorry about that. Yeah, environments weren't a big focus for me um, over that time. And this is like more recently that I've started to kind of delve into um, environment work. So I'm still kind of applying these principles, but I just took some time as well to do some master studies. So you can see down here, I'm thinking about these artists' choices, well, why they're making those decisions, how they simplify. But these are more fine artists, I suppose, um, and yeah, it's still applying that kind of fundamental practice, and yeah, it's just something that it's like I want to be quite well rounded and I guess prepared for different things that might come up in my career. You know that I don't want to be refused or I don't know. I just don't want to like limit myself in a way. So and it's just something that I wanted to try my hand at. But it's not like a massive focus in my work. Like definitely cityscapes and stuff like that. I've not really delved into. So it's not something that that I've done a lot of. But yeah, it kind of I'm going to talk about these cars a little bit. So these are quite heavily inspired by Akira Toriyama, and I thought this is cool because cool to talk about because it gave me a new perspective on a topic that I really had no. I'm not really a car guy. I wasn't at that point, and I was just like, "Damn, those cars are cute. I want to draw something like that," and I just did it. You know, it's they're pretty close in proportion. You know, I'm kind of like ripping them off a little bit, but I hopefully the way I painted them and stuff like that, I added my own like personal touch to them a little bit. But yeah, these were super fun to do, and it's just like not being so precious, I suppose, about I don't want to directly look at like this artist too much, because I've already accrued like all of this prior like taste and all that kind of stuff. I'm still filtering some of his choices through my own kind of lens, I guess. But yeah, I really like these. And um, another thing as well, we're definitely going to get into it later, more so in the second week, I think. But I feel I'll just touch on it now. But I post a lot of these whip process things, and it's just nice to share. I feel, and it seems to resonate with people, especially artists who are just trying to understand. And I really like I like sharing that kind of stuff. So yeah, and largely my process or how I create images isn't that different from subject to subject. Like there's going to be some you know, special cases and that kind of thing, but a lot of it you'll start to recognize these patterns of how I approach things, right? So we have drawing, local colors, and shape, silhouette. Then we apply lighting and form, and then we add little details. And it's like we start very, very broad and big, and then we, you know, add we're layering in. So I've got a whole thing about how important process is. It's like it gives you confidence as well. Like I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it's just really, it's cool. It's a good thing to have process. You don't want to be too prescriptive about it because people can kind of like lock into it and be like, this is how I paint, this is how I should paint. That's not really the thing. Your process can be unique to you, but I find it's really good to have one in particular. So I'll talk about these guys a little bit. This was fun. It literally came from a conversation that I was having with my nephew, and I think he was like 6 or 7 at the time, but yeah, he was playing with these toys, and I was like, oh, that reminds me of like I used to have these dinosaurs when I was young called Extreme Dinosaurs, and I bought him some from eBay. They're like really old now, but I thought the designs like they're really cool. I don't know. They're like a rip-off of like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or something, like or not a rip-off, a in that kind of genre, I guess. But yeah, Street Sharks. Yeah, so Street Sharks that was it. Street Sharks is the main one. I love Street Sharks, and then Extreme Dinosaurs was like the little offshoot of that. So anyway, I gave some of these to my nephew, and he loved them. He loves dinosaurs, and then I was just thinking like, huh, it would be cool if like Mario Kart dinosaurs. That's it. That's the big idea. Really simple. It just came up and I was like, that would be really cool. And I thought about, um, you know, all the different types of dinosaurs that you could have and all the different vehicles that, you know, what would a Triceratops have, right? He would have a tricycle and he would be called Tryhard. And they're like bikers and all this stuff. So this is I love this project, and it's been years now, and I still haven't done much more work on it. Pretty sad. I want to return to it. But yeah, I just wanted to include this here because it's, you know, when we talk about personal connection and point of view and like style and all that kind of thing, it doesn't have to be this deep, like meaningful thing. You know, it can be like silly. It can be like it's a different tone. It's yeah, it can just be this like little fun thing, and I feel like it's refreshing as well, and it resonates with people because there's a lot of people who love Street Sharks and Mario Kart. You know, it's these are just yeah. Uh, that's what I want to say about these guys. And again, um, applying learnings that I've definitely with form, especially with form on this one. I wanted these specifically to feel like vinyl toys. So the textural differences between them, I didn't want to get into like adding a bunch of, you know, denim and all that kind of detail. You know, here it's very like soft. It should feel like sculpted, I guess. And this one took me quite a while to work up. And then with these, they're almost like character like expression sheets, which I haven't really done a lot of. So I wanted to try those, but I wanted to, okay, like a bit more of a simple style for that, because yeah, you don't need to render them as much. So yeah, that's these guys. And that kind of brings me a little bit more up to speed. And this is just a recent kind of portrait that I did, thinking about this class, thinking about inspirations. I was like, who do I really love at the moment, right? And I love their work, but I didn't necessarily I don't necessarily consciously try and like inject it into my own work that much. Um, and that's Rael Lyra. Big fan of that guy. He's a great guy. And yeah, I met him once actually. He's very nice. He showed me his sketchbook. It's incredible. But I don't want to name drop too much. But yeah, so his work I really enjoyed it. I love it. So I wanted to see like what it would be like if I'm kind of thinking about his work. I wasn't even consciously, I wasn't actually actively looking at his artwork when I was painting this. It was kind of just something, I think I was more looking at some Sergio Toppi, but this was more just in my head from looking at it so much. And there's some kind of similarities that you can see where you have this kind of like broken color where the color shifts and they're almost like segmented and grouped a little bit. And you can see that in my painting a little bit more and implementing like a bit more line and drawing into that to describe the form a little bit more. But I wouldn't say drawing, especially like line art and stuff like that. That's not a big strength of mine or a big focus. But this was more of used as like a secondary kind of thing. But I really like the portrait, and I think it came out quite nice. Um, yeah, and that's kind of just where I'm at currently. And I don't even know why I'm showing this at the moment because this will kind of be next week's focus, I suppose. We can think about this. The session's not ended or anything, don't worry. But yeah, we this is going to be stuff we're going to be looking at, and how to, I guess, draw from reference and think about the intent when we're drawing and that simplification. I'll bring that up again. Simplification part is really important. Um, so yeah, do we have any questions? Anything you want me to like go back and look at or talk about? I kind of want to like get to know you guys a little bit more as well. I'm sorry in the beginning it was a bit of like just a jumping right into it. But if anyone has any questions about the work or um, anything like that, then it's okay if not. Like Eduardo had one in the chat. Can you speak, Eduardo, or do you want to? Okay. Okay. So the question is, when doing personal art, how much do I look at references and what's been the progression of how you use art references to guide your personal art? So with my personal work, I do look at references quite a bit. Um, I think I've gotten into a rhythm of um, I'll kind of touch on this a little bit later, but basically with my full-time job, right? I feel like that's a longer term commitments to different tasks and all that kind of stuff. Um, and I get that itch where I just want to paint something for myself. Um, and I just want it I want it to be done in like one evening, you know? And and I don't have like longer term projects. That's kind of something that I want to remedy. I want to have like these longer term projects, but I just want to do something like spontaneous and quick and what I feel like, and I get it off my chest almost, and then I move on to the next painting. And drawing from reference like really helps that. Um, maybe it'd be good for me to try and draw a little bit more like from imagination and things like that. But yeah, it's a little bit of a mixture, and sometimes I kind of abandon the reference or really not pay attention to it too much, like in a halfway through. um so yeah, we're gonna definitely like talk about how I use references, good ways to approach it. later on, but yeah, that hopefully that answers it. So I feel like, yeah, I do look at references quite a bit. This one actually, I don't have the full thing of this, but I tried an interesting exercise that maybe we can do next week, where this guy had two. Let me see if I have the original somewhere. Sorry about this. You know what? I can just go to Twitter. That's fine. Mm, yeah, basically, I had two references for this image, and I got a little bit bored halfway through, and I decided to mix it up. So, um, yeah, with this guy, I think I just found him I found them both on Pinterest, I think. But it started out with this guy, and I paint a lot of old guys. I don't know why. That's just something like the characteristics, the big ears, and all that kind of wrinkles and all these little forms. Like, I felt like I painted this guy before, like not actually this guy, but I didn't feel like I was doing much new, right? With this painting. So just to mix it up, I thought, you know what, like this guy has a really interesting silhouette, and let me try and like pivot and combine these two references. So and it creates something new. So I'm thinking about them like a bit more abstractly. I'm extracting information from both of these references. You know, like the way his hair like wisps back. I wanted to capture that in this painting as well. Um, but yeah, there's certain aspects definitely. I think it's largely originally based on this guy, and then yeah, the ear. I kind of combined their ear shapes a little bit, but I wanted to be like very expressive and yeah. So I definitely I do use um, I do use reference for sure. Um, it's like, yeah, sorry, I don't know where I'm going with that. Any more questions? Chris says, how do you balance having a full-time job and doing personal work? This is a good question. It is difficult, but when we're going back to that dog painting, where is it? Yeah, this guy. So this guy, I painted this on a lunch break, and I was like, oh damn, that's I can actually like say something in a short amount of time. Relatively, I think it took me like an hour or something, right? So that's a way that helps me balance it, where I just spoke, where each each artwork, it takes me a short amount of time and I focus, and it actually putting that limitation on myself actually helped me focus a lot more with like intent and how do I want to get to that painting. I'm not just noodling and like repainting the same face over and over and over again. I very rarely do that, like repaint areas over and over. I would rather just make a new painting. I don't know. So it helped me focus, and it gave me a stronger sense of like that, having a process and things like that. So yeah, I just try and find a couple of hours, in the week here and there. Like I try dailies as well. But I also just genuinely love painting. I love it. So um, it feels good. I want to do it. It's not like this big weight and a burden on me. Um, I want to do it. So it's I find time, but yeah, it can be difficult. And those like longer term projects that I was talking about, that's where I struggle with that balance because yeah, for some reason going sitting at a desk, painting one thing for a couple of hours and then returning to it the next day. Like I do that in my day job, sure, but I in my personal work, I don't know. I want things to be like fresh and new. Hopefully that may make sense. So do you paint with lasso tool? Your work looks very clean, and I was wondering what an in-depth look into your painting process looks like, by Catherine Choi. So we will get on. I will do a demo later, or I'll show a video. I don't know which one. I feel like I can, yeah, maybe a bit of both. But I don't really use lasso at all. I paint with a hard round brush to get the shape, and I feel like I have more control over it that way, and be a bit more precise. I just find painting with the lasso tool a bit odd for me, personally, but I'll show you my process so much. Like next week, I'm going to do a lot more like live demos. This is more of just like setting the stage a little bit. But yeah, process definitely a big thing for me. More questions. So, Chelsea asked, do you find yourself using specific brushes, like sticking to a set few of them and playing around with border collection? Yeah, I mostly have like we'll talk about brushes and that stuff a little bit later. But yeah, I don't experiment. Sometimes I experiment a little bit with brushes, but maybe I should do it more because you can get some fun results that way. But yeah, mostly I stick to like some basic ones, or ones that I just enjoy using quite a lot. But cool. Catherine asks, what do you do when you get frustrated with your work? I often feel like perfectionist tendencies when I can see all the mistakes in my work, but don't have the skills to know how to properly fix them yet. Okay, so frustration. Interesting. Let me think about that for a second. So again, another good thing I feel like about doing shorter form work is that I don't have to be a perfectionist, because if I'm not happy with this painting, there's always tomorrow. There's always another one around the corner, you know? Like yeah, not you don't have to put so much emotional weight on one painting, one image. That's not going to make or break your, artistic career or anything like that. Like you need to can have that detachment that I was talking about, where it's just like you're just playing, you're practicing, you're learning, right? And being okay with failure. Like that was a part of this was such a big thing for me, was just being like, yeah, I kind of knew at the time like I wasn't where I wanted to be, but that was okay. And if you keep making art, you will improve, like, with the right tools and the right guidance. Like I had a lot of help from like online community stuff and tutorials, that kind of thing. So yeah, with the right guidance, you're improving. But there's always tomorrow, and a new painting, and that's exciting. That's really cool. You are not the artwork that you're currently making. You have you have your own you should have your own sense of worth and all that kind of stuff. It gets a bit like, it's a bit of like a difficult topic to talk about, like tying your emotional self-worth to your artwork. I really try and not do that so much, but maybe that's getting a bit of a tangent. Yeah, so I miss Chelsea. I miss the concept art forums. I like Discord servers. I do like they're kind of emulating that same feeling again. But yeah, okay, cool. I feel like I'll pause questions for a minute and get into some other points. Oh, a little bit of a teaser there. We'll get into that in a minute. So Yeah, that's true, Tessa. That's real. It was so like, oh guys, I don't want to be all nostalgic, but yeah, the concept.org days where you could see someone's progress in like one thread. It was such a big thing. And we've kind of lost that with social media a little bit. And it's quite sad. But yeah, really inspiring seeing someone's starting point and where they are now. Like it's such a cool thing. I want to talk a little bit. I want to be a bit analytical about some talk about stylistic choices. And I am not these artists that I'm looking at. I don't know exactly what's going through their head, but I'm making some observations. And I just want to compare a few artists, right? And I want to talk a little bit about making choices. So Ivan Earl is the GOAT. He's incredible. So we are making artistic decisions through the process of making art, and emphasizing one aspect can mean letting go of another, right? You're opening one door, you have to close another. Sometimes you're making that trade-off. If you have too many disparate styles and approaches, then things get muddy and confused, right? You want to find the right balance for you, but you have to let go of some of these other artistic choices, right? That can be for another painting, that can be for another project. Okay, so an example where this occurs is that the bold shape, the bold graphic read versus that internal representational form and fidelity. Well, not even internal, sorry, just the fidelity of something, that more realism, right? So we'll take a quick look at Ivan Earl. He has very bold graphic silhouettes. They're extremely clear and readable. They are very, very effective. They have that punch, right? That's great, right? He has great graphic simplified read, but it's also balanced with some more representational aspects. So remember when I said that style isn't that binary, like yes or no? This is how it relates. Okay, he's using these different aspects, right? Some are a bit more true to life, some are a bit more abstract. He's manipulating this in different ways. It's really, really cool. So the shapes are pushed to the extreme and simplified down to the extreme, but he still is describing some internal form with light and shadow. And he uses these branch patterns and the scale of detail that feels true, right? So you have all these like really specific little segments, like this segment here, where you get that pattern there. It actually feels quite like real, right? But he's balancing that. He's bringing that aspect in a very in a calculated way, I feel like. And his work is beautiful. He worked on I think Snow White backgrounds, and yeah, very influential worked at Disney. And yeah, like very soft gradients as well in the background. There's not a lot of noise going on. So very, very cool. And then I want to compare him to this artist. You might recognize him from, I think he did the Secret of Mana cover as well. It's Big Tree. I haven't put that here for some reason. But so I feel like let's compare him to Hiro Isono. I think I'm saying that right. He is more
Sono.
Isono. Thank you.
Yeah.
Isono. Oh my God. I am that's bad. Isono. So yes, Isono is more representational and true to life, right? Just a comparison at a glance, we can tell this is a bit more realistic, right? He loses some graphic read, but it's still there in key areas. Okay, so even though he's more realistic, it doesn't mean he's losing that sense of that graphic element, right? It's still here. It's presented in this big shape here. these lines here, it's actually that contrast, that sharpness there, creates that graphic sense. And same here with the moon. It's a big graphic element, and then little cuts here, and the castle, very more bolder shapes. So yeah, and especially these birds, they're like the very simplified graphic element in his work. So he makes another stylistic choice that but brings it a bit further from reality, I suppose, with his use of color. That's like a heightened like vibrancy, right? But again, he's balancing it with that representational foliage. So when we're talking about these artists, we're kind of like trying to analyze their decision making, right, and why they're doing things, and why it hangs together and why it works. So when you start to look at art through this lens, you can kind of like backwards engineer and okay, he's doing this, he's balancing this way with this shape, simplifying things here. That's how we should start looking at things and approaching things, right? But this isn't to say that one is better than the other. It's just a matter of taste and whatever. I love them both. So yeah, hopefully this is tracking. Cool. And then another artist, Ivan Bilibin. Where does his work sit? The internal forms of his work actually quite flat, right? But the shapes he uses are relatively complex. So not as bold, definitely, or graphic as Ivan Earl, but by reducing that internal form, and flattening that, that helps with that graphic read still. And we can, the way the elements are layered as well, there's a density there. And it feels a bit more true to life. But yeah, these shapes, they're actually quite complicated. And he's balancing this with sorry, I've lost it a little bit. So this is complemented with more natural lighting, right? If you squint at these artworks, the light in it, it feels real. It feels like, oh, I've seen, that palette just works. The light in it's kind of like this overcast dawn light, it feels really true. And that's comparing to Isono's work. Yeah, this feels a little bit truer to life, right? So it's that trade-off, or that he's compensating in another way for this stylistic choice. So in summary, the various aspects of a painting can be pushed and manipulated. We can go really extreme and really far and exaggerate in certain things, but we want to consider that balance, because when we want to make a bold stylistic choice for one aspect of a painting, we can pair that with a more representational and a truer to life choice in another aspect. So without any element of grounding, all of this is abstract, right? If we take this, all of these, if we pushed all of these to the max, we'd just get complete, like, it's not representational, it's not representational at all, and it becomes completely abstract, right? So we want to see what qualities we want to balance and make more grounded and more realistic in the work. But yeah, I feel like that good thing that we're talking about here is that there is a trade-off with the choice that you make. You can't make every, a painting can't be everything. It has to, you have to say something, you have to be specific. So yeah, so some choices that we're making in one painting, we make different choices in another painting. It's does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah. Cool. Um, can I get a hell yeah in chat if that makes sense? Ah, nice. Okay, sweet. Any questions on that? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I might have something. Um, I'm just wondering if I'm sure you have done this, but I'm curious to know your process of like when you have a piece that you're like, I want to go in and really push this lighting, or I really want to go in and push the shapes and form, or like some aspect in particular that you want to
Hmm.
go crazy on. How do you sort of approach that?
Yeah, I feel like yeah, that's I guess it's just the question is how do I prioritize a certain aspect of a
Yeah.
painting? Yeah, we can. I think that kind of relates to um, to something that I'm gonna try and show in a bit. But I did have this demo that I wanted to work on. I'll give you a little preview. Um, but yeah, it's I don't want to jump around too much. Maybe I should just get into the painting, or I don't know. But yeah, basically, what I was going to talk about with this example is I just mocked up a character. You know, it wasn't super focused on the design that much, but it's more about I was thinking about paint application and that kind of those stylistic choices that we're making. And with this one, I'm making the choice that the light, that sense of form and that light is more important. Whereas if I was to paint this up in another way, we could go more overcast, and that boldness and that the differences between these materials is more intact. So that would be the priority there. But I guess yeah, the question is how do I pick focus, or like how do I pick which one? Or I'm not sure. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious if you go in like more laser focused on a certain aspect, or if you're like, I'm just gonna play around and see
Yeah.
what is more interesting to exaggerate when I'm painting,
Okay.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. I feel like it's kind of maybe the needs of the project or the idea, or um where okay, like let's say I'm gonna work on a hypothetical personal project, and it's gonna be like these like big I don't know, buildings and on mountains and stuff like that. And I want it to be like epic, and like but the story that I'm telling is like this big epic thing. And for that, I might prioritize, I might really focus on getting like a great sense of light, and it's for that specific context, in for that project. So I guess that's a way of looking at it. But um,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, and going back to like why we stylize or use cases, right? This can be a good way to think about it. Like we as artists, we want to work in some kind of field, I imagine, um, and we we can look at okay, what do they prioritize in that field, and who does it really well, and can I incorporate that into my work? Is that going to be a priority? Again, like readability of character, like simple character designs, like readability is super important, right? So you wouldn't put a bunch of like crazy rendering and beautiful rim lights and all that stuff. Like, that's more of a visual development of how that character might look in a final scene or something. But for character designs, you want that the readability a lot of the time. So that dictates what the focus is a little bit. But yeah, if you're inspired by Zach Retz, for example, But the aspect that you're inspired by him, his like vibrant use of color and his moods and his lighting, that can be the focus. But yeah, it's I think it's just like being able to let go of, again, not every painting can be everything. So it's just letting go that, like, okay, um, really super detailed stuff, that's not going to be the focus of this particular image. Or, I can, for this style of project, maybe, yeah, it doesn't need to be as bold or as graphic, or, actually more realistic designs are more suited for it, that kind of thing. So hopefully that answers your
Yeah,
question.
totally. Thank you for finding a really insightful answer to my vague ass question in the
No, no,
beginning.
no. It's definitely a good question. I hope I answered it. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Cool. Um, Anyone else have any questions, or we keep it conversational? Um, Maybe. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, I'll paint a little bit. I want to do it. I want to just do it live and see. Hopefully, my pen's been lagging a little bit. So maybe I have to change some settings in Photoshop when I do a test. But yeah, we'll just get into it and see.
Tom,
Cool.
did you want to do critique to your intros at some point today?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think we should do, yeah, maybe we should do intros. I don't know. Uh,
If you want
okay,
to do the demo first, that's fine. I just wanted to check in.
yeah. I do want to do introductions for sure. I think we're doing okay on time. Like this, I won't paint for like crazy long. But yeah, it'll take a little bit to do like introductions and stuff. So yeah, that definitely should be a focus as well. I'll do a lot of painting, and I've got a demo as well that I can put on later. Cool. So what was I talking about here? I was talking about that choice, stylistic choice. And here I've already tried to like paint some, but for this one, I think I want to kind of maybe focus a little bit more on describing the form, and doing that thing, where we apply the 3D form to these like 2D shapes. When I'm drawing the character and these silhouettes, I'm already thinking ahead about that, most times as well. But I'm really simply just going in with a multiply layer, and using some softer gradients, and I do it like my technique is a lot of, I'll do a brush stroke, sorry, and then I'll erase out a section, and I just go back and forth like that, quite a lot. So I'm thinking about the direction of the light as well. So just kind of an average like top down lighting. This form here, I want it to be rounder, so I'm gonna use this like softer brush to exaggerate that. And you can isolate as well. Like I've masked it. I don't really use mask layers, which freaks out some people, but basically the way I've painted it up is I've got all these separate elements. They're like my flats, I guess. And then I make another one and flatten it, or duplicate and compress all those into one. So if I want to grab like if I just want to select the whole guy, I'll control click on that and it just selects all of them. Or if I just want to, you know, select his shoes, for example, then I'll do that. But yeah, this is just for the purposes of this demo. It's just, it's not super planned out layering. But yeah, this way I can like make quick selections. So we go back onto our multiply layer. See, now that's masked out. And I can just, you know, but I don't like the halo thing around it, the little like wire thing. So I press Control H and that makes it disappear, but I'm still in that.